viewers out there that's been watching us ever since we started. So this is our 1 year anniversary. We've been doing this for 1 year. So it's official 1 year. We made it through. From what I understand is that some podcasts don't even make it through the first couple of months, either because they're not getting enough subscribers, not getting enough views, and they just, give up and say, you know what, the hell with it. So I think it's a testament to both Mark and I to, keep pushing through, even though we don't have the subscribers yet and the viewers, and just to be a year later and still standing. I think it says a lot about, us pushing through, being persistent, regardless of what the outcome has been so far. And I'm enjoying it. So I get to, spend some time with my twin, chop it up with some topics that we both choose. So for those, like I said, that's a faithful and has been watching us for a year, we thank you. We appreciate you. And we're going to continue to, do our best to bring good content and just move forward from here. So with no further ado, as always, your thought becomes your belief, and your belief becomes your manifestation. Mark?
Yeah, well, I just want to echo what you said. I didn't know, actually, so that's good. It's been a year. And pretty much like you said, just thank the ones that have been following and continue to follow us, because that's important. Even if it's 10 people, it still shows that we have some people that's actually engaged with our topics and they like watching it. So 1 year later is always good. That goes right into what I always say, STS. Like you said a minute ago, a lot of podcasts or anything that you do that first year is always like the trial and error. So that's why I say stay focused, trust the process, and be consistent. The main one out there is consistency. We've been consistent the whole year. And that just goes to show you that that's how you continue on, is being consistent. I think we had one delay where we was off for like a month or whatever. But other than that, for the most part, we've been consistent. And I just believe that you do that, you're going to get and reach the goals or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. So on that note, I appreciate you guys, but continue to follow us. And again, we did get one person chime in last week, Diamond. Was it Diamond Jules or Jewel Diamonds? Or she know who she is. So I appreciate you for, following, being a loyal, follower. Just again, comment. We both love to hear comments and get a different perspective, especially from a lady's point of view, with the topics that's kind of geared more or less around women. So we need that because it will help, make it better and make it more, I should say entertaining, but make it a more understood on both sides of the spectrum, men and women. So on that note, I'm going to go ahead and let you get started and tell us what our today's topic is.
Topic is going to be somewhat on relationships, and it's going to come from a male's perspective. So for me, personally, sometimes I feel as though it's a challenge to open up to my significant other or open up to women in general. So I know there's been a discussion before as far as, can men truly open up to a woman? And if that man does open up to a woman, will he regret it? So the topic for today is, should a man open up to his significant other, his partner, or should he open up to his woman? So with that being said, I can't remember who it was, but it was something that was posted on Instagram, and you may have seen it, but it was like a short clip, and the brother was not going off, but he was going into it and basically saying, the worst thing you can do, don't you ever, how Smugger said, ever do that again.
Yeah.
Because in my opinion, depending on what it is, men, we're supposed to be, the strong one, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, in all aspects. We are supposed to be the head, and we're always supposed to be in charge. Not in charge, but what's the word I'm looking for? Not in charge, but basically being in a spot to where we don't show weakness. Not saying that talking to your partner is weakness, but just in a sense of if you had a bad day at work and you come home and you'd be like, damn, babe, I can't believe it. These jokers just keep they just screwing with me. They pissing me off. And, there you burst in some tears and you start crying. So the perception is, in my opinion, is that if a man does that, depending on the woman, and I'm not saying all women are like that, but I just think, again, the way we're programmed is that men are not supposed to be vulnerable. And if we are going to be vulnerable, it has to be with another man, and it should not be with a woman. Because, you heard it before. That's always like the biggest thing is men don't talk to their women. They don't open up to their women. They're not being sensitive. They're not being vulnerable.
Right.
And from my personal experience, there's been relationships I've been in to where I did open up and I was viewed as weak. Most recently, 3 years ago, the situation with, my massage license. And the person I was seeing at the time, she was more of masculine energy. And at that time, there was so much going on, mom had transitioned. We were still basically getting over, Jay and dad's transition. So that was a lot. And I mean, me moving down here to Atlanta, getting out of the military, changing jobs, changing careers, basically, that was a lot of stuff that was going on in my life at the time. And I remember I went to this Reiki specialist, and the first thing they do like an intake. They talk to you, just trying to find out where you at, where your energy is at. And it was interesting because she was like, so all the stuff that you dealt with, she said, that's a lot. And I don't know why she went this way, but she kind of went the race route. She said, especially being a Black male, it's a lot harder for y'all in society and in the world. And with all those things that was going on in your life, how did you cope with that? So to make a long story short, I didn't feel as though I had an outlet. So I didn't have anyone to talk to. So when I met this person and all this stuff was going on, I was in a dark space by the time I met her. And, things continued to get worse and worse. And I just was expressing my feelings. And she basically was like, just suck it up and just deal with it. Because I posed a question, just a question. I was like, so with all the good you do in the world, what would be the point of being alive or something to that sense? I can't remember exactly what I said. And she looked at, she was on the phone and she just went in on, was like, what? Oh my God, are you talking about killing yourself? I'm going to send somebody over there right now. I'm going to call the cop. I said, are you serious? I said, I'm just expressing myself. I was at a point before where I never expressed myself, and now I am. So she just took it and ran with it. And then she called me later on, was like, well, I don't know if I can do this because I don't date people that's not strong or something to that effect. So the point I'm trying to get to is in that moment of being vulnerable, because I thought this was someone that claimed that she loved me. And, I was trying to take the route of, okay, I'm not going to be the typical man and just sit back and not say anything. So I actually opened up and it backfired. So, and it's more examples I have other than that. But, that's just to start it off on my view of why men shouldn't open up to a woman. And I'll elaborate a little bit more later.
Okay. All right. So you're a sucker and you confess to a woman. No, I'm just playing. So I'm just trying to be silly. I mean, I think that's interesting. I believe, for one, I think it depends, and I think you did say that, on the individual. I think everything always ultimately depends on the individual and how everybody handles things. But I think nowadays, and you said being programmed or the way society views it, if a dude or a guy confess or express himself to a woman, yeah, they're deemed as being too sensitive or too much feminine energy. But I think it's a catch-22, meaning some women want you to be more expressive and show the softer side because it shows that they can be vulnerable and be understanding of a woman's needs. But then you have some women, like you said, where you go and express yourself, and they look at you like you coming to me for the wrong stuff, or you're coming too weak and you should be able to handle it. Like you said, you're supposed to be more dominant. I would say more control or handle the situation better because they probably look for you for that getaway or that comfort. So if you doing that, and if she's like that, then it's going to be a problem because he's not holding his part to where he's going to be the one that she should come to and express herself, and he comfort her and console her. So I get it. I think it depends on what you expressing yourself about. I mean, if it's something that happened in your life and it's something that really affected you, I think you need to express that to her just so she have a better understanding of who you are. Because if you don't, and I've been through this with numerous relationships where I was always told I'm too secretive is the word. Some women, not all of them, some of them said that, or I'm scared to show my feelings, or I'm too what is it? It's just so many different words, but pretty much what I'm trying to say is every woman that I ever dated, they all said the same thing where they wanted me to be more expressive. Then I had some where I would open up about the least little thing, and like you were saying about your situation, she was looking at me like, seriously, dude, why are you being so sensitive? You can't be acting like that. You're supposed to be the man. You're supposed to man up, not in those words, but just giving you an example. That's how she was coming back at me when I tried to express myself. And it wasn't nothing major. It wasn't like I came in the house crying or being butthurt about something. It was just I was in the moment and something aggravated me. And she was like, "You bitch too much. Why you always complaining? You whine like a woman." So I was just like, wow, I was just being, expressive or just sharing my thoughts. It wasn't even like that. But that's how she took it. So I think it depends on the woman and again the guy and how he delivers it. Now if he comes in that way to where it sounds like he's being a little too sensitive, I can understand that. But if he's just talking, y'all having a conversation, and she's sharing, you're sharing a moment in your life, but that was something that was, very important or sensitive to you, I think, again, that's important. Then the other thing, I think it depends on how you grew up, meaning some guys grew up with just a single mom. Or, in other words, like a mama's boy. I hate saying that term, mama's boy. But being that he was more with his mom, so he tended to be a little bit more on the sensitive side because he grew up with his mom or he grew up with a lot of sisters. So he'd be more easier to express himself, and then he comes to the woman and it just kind of be more on the sensitive side. So I think that plays a part. Some women might embrace that and be like, "Oh, that's so sweet," and then some might be like, "Damn, dude, you too weak, man. You need to again man up." Now, it's the guy at work. I'm gonna bring up a work story. He's no longer working there, but this dude was sensitive. Now, the reason why I say that is because when stuff would happen, he would get all upset and he'd be like, "Man, I don't believe he said that to me." But he would go and talk to this lady that he was real cool with. Now, maybe them two just had a good rapport and they was close. But it's just that instead of talking to the guy that he had a problem with, because I told him, go confront the dude man to man, let him know how you feel about it. But instead, he went when we went on break and complained to the lady friend. And then she went and took his back and defended him. So I was just sitting back looking like, wow, you couldn't do that yourself. You had to go run and tell her. And I did kind of mess with him, be like, damn, dude, you kind of sissified on that because you let a woman step up and take your role to handle that situation. And I wasn't even his girlfriend in that. So I know that's a little different from what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I'm using that example as far as some dudes that grow up and I asked him, why is he like that? And then that's when he confronted. Well, I grew up with my mom was single and I had like 3 sisters I grew up with. She was always around women. So he picked up certain tendencies. Now I know some people are going to say that doesn't mean that he has to be like that because he grew up around women or he has a lot of women friends. Because there's a lot of dudes that have lady friends that's not like that. But I'm just saying again, there is some that get through the cracks where that could be it. So I look at that scenario. So I think it's different variables on that as far as you should or should not. I think if you're having a good conversation with your significant other, if it's in that moment where she wants to know stuff about you, yeah. Now if it's just a day where you coming home and you just stressed out, again, it's how you deliver it. Because I was stressed out the other day at work, and my partner asked me, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Man, it was a long day at work. These damn people pissed me off. I'm getting tired of these. I just vented is what I
Yeah.
call it. But to me, it wasn't like, oh, I need you to come hold me because I feel like they hurt my feelings. No, it wasn't like that. So that's why I say it depends on how you deliver and again, how she takes it. But everybody's different. So it depends on that. But
Hey, just hold that real quick. I'll be right back.
what are you on, bathroom break? So anyway, guys, like I was saying, ladies, men, y'all, whoever's watching, chime in because I think this is a good topic because I was just with a friend the other day. We not got into it. We talked about opening up again, and I was told that I don't share anything that was not vulnerable, but vulnerable. That was vulnerable. That makes me show that I can be a person that's just understanding, a little bit passionate, because I always come across with some women is very aggressive. So they didn't see that other side. So she was like, if you just open up, we understand you better because you don't tell us anything or tell me anything. So that's why women may take it as, they see me in that light because I'd never be expressive or tell any secrets. Now I do tell, not secrets, but tell anything that was sentimental or sensitive to me. But now that you're back, go ahead. I was just trying to kill the time while you go on your bathroom break.
I've been back for about 5 minutes. But so we got one comment from KJ. She says being open and vulnerable in relationship is important. So now I do agree being vulnerable in relationship is important. But to kind of touch on what you were saying, I think it depends on what it is. Being vulnerable meaning, because I know women always say, tell me how you feel. So I'm just thinking off the top right now. So if I came home from work and she can see that something is like visibly bothered me. She's like, so what's going on? And I said, well, I just had some issues going on at work and I really don't want to talk about it, but it just had me in a headspace that I really don't want to share it. So in my mind, that's still kind of being vulnerable, but it's not getting technical and detailed as far as what actually happened. So, if you come home every day at work or you just let her know, look, babe, this is just the job that I do. The people I work with is very challenging. And it just puts me in a headspace to where it takes me out of my comfort level. And sometimes I'm irritable and, I just don't want to be around anybody. So I don't want to take it out on you. So I just, separate myself when I get home. I kiss you, hug you, whatever the case is. But, as far as going in detail, I'm just not going to do that. So to me, that's still being vulnerable and you're being upfront, but you're just not getting detailed as far as what actually happened. Because if I was to say, well, I have this one employee and he keeps smacking me in the back of the head, and we really need this money. It's a good paying job. I told him, look, leave me alone. We used to, as they say, grab ass a little bit. That's a military term. But we used to grab ass. And I'm just to the point to where I don't want to do it no more. But, I'm really tired of him doing it. So if you come home and you tell her that, how is she really going to receive that? Is she going to like, damn, this dude weak, he a punk? It's like, she just tell him to leave it up, leave you the hell alone. If not, you're going to put him down. So prime example, without bringing up any names, I went to a game, football game, and it was this dude sitting next to us. And he was obviously drunk. And he was just at the mouth the whole time talking. At first, I was just being cordial, conversating with him. But then it was getting to the point he was getting real annoying. And then he just went overboard and was like really like getting really, really aggressive. So the person I was with was sitting next to me and he was like leaning over her and just talking shit to me. So I took her, I said, here, come sit over here. And I sat next to him and there was some dudes in the front. And they was like, look, just leave him alone, man. Just leave him alone. But he just kept going at it. So they finally just stopped. It was like, I hope he knocked his ass out. So I turned to him. I put my finger in his face. I said, leave me the fuck alone. I said, stop right now. I said, do not fuck with me no more. And I said that to him, and that just amped him up even more. Oh, you think you're a big guy? You think you intelligent? I'm intelligent too. And he just kept egging me on. I'm telling you, it took everything inside of me to not pick. I was like, what's the name from Equalizer? You know how he would visualize what he would do before he do it? I promise you, I was literally doing that. I was like, okay, if I pick him up, he got some friends, I can throat chop them, kick one in the nuts that he gonna be down. I pick him up and throw him down the bleachers. I was like really processing that in my head. But the point I'm trying to get to is, even though she didn't say anything, I felt as though she looked at me as like, wow, this dude is weak. Like, this dude was literally up in his face, not saying that race had anything to do with it, but it was a white dude. And you know how they are. They think they can say and do anything. But I was looking at the fact was out of town. I was on the Chicago side. And, you know, I was the only black male in there. You know how they always defend their own. So if the police or security guards was called, I didn't want to get caught in a situation to where, you know, I'm outnumbered and then I have her with me. So I'm always thinking about, okay, she has a family, she got a son and stuff. And God forbid, I done brought her up here and I got in a fight, got locked up. And they looked at me and like, what kind of dude you dating? So the point I'm trying to make is, for a long time, I felt as though she looked at me as like soft or weak or was not able to protect her or defend myself. And I know that's what most women wants to know, is if something go down, and she gonna be willing to protect me and, you know, both of us at the same time. So that's why I know that's totally different from being vulnerable as far as talking to the person. But along the lines of that, I can't see myself coming to somebody and just telling them truly how I feel about certain things.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think again, and I think we both kind of saying the same thing, and I might repeat myself, so forgive me guys if it's like me just rehashing the same thing over and over. But I think you made a good point when you were saying that. You had me thinking is, I think if you come in again, excuse me, how you come in and handle the situation, like I said, when I came the other day, I came into work and something she said annoyed me, and I already had a long ass day. So I was like, really? So I just went in on her, and she's like, what is wrong with you? Why are you acting like that? Why you have such an attitude? And I said, today is not the day. I just had a long day at work. These idiots over there, I almost got in a fight at work. So I'm coming home, and now I got to deal with this. And then she's like, well, we want to tell me about it. So I thought to myself, like, what did I need to tell you for? I just told you I had a long day. That was enough in a nutshell. So I don't need to go in depth and tell you the reason why I had a bad day. I just had a bad day. So I didn't tell her. And then that's when she went on to say, see, that's your problem. You don't want to open up. You need to be vulnerable and understand that it's not weak if you express yourself to a woman and let her know where you're coming from. I said, yeah, I get it. But to me, again, I think if it's an open conversation, y'all just chilling and y'all talking, and she'd be like, babe, tell me something about you, you know, that whatever that bothers you. To me, that's more appropriate because y'all on that conversation about it. But to come in on a regular day from home, work, whatever, you just go in on whatever is bothering you, I think that would be taken or received as, damn, why is this dude coming like this all sensitive? Or maybe she might be, oh, wow, that's nice that he's coming, he's opening up. But to me, that's complaining. And I know I'm gonna sound like a cliche, but I believe a guy shouldn't have to be going in like that right off the bat. Now, if she asks and you decompress and you calm down and you feel like, okay, let me tell her, but just to go in and just sound like you had a bad day and it's more like you whining about it, I would never do that. I mean, I'm serious because it's the way, again, how you deliver it can take to make the difference on how it's being received. Because I've been told I'm a grumpy old man because, you know, I always come to her and say stuff and it sounds like I'm complaining to her. So to me, she thought I was a person that was never happy because I always complained to her. So then I had to step back and then I was like, okay, I ain't gonna say that in the next relationship because the last one thought I complained too much. So in that relationship, the next one I was in, she said I didn't say it enough. I didn't say anything. So she felt like I was too secretive. So I just believe it's the individual. with women when it comes to that, because like I said, two different women, two different relationships, and they both took it a different way. One thought I was complaining all the time or being grumpy. Another one thought I just didn't express myself enough. I was too I keep saying secretive. I want to say secretive. Uh I want to say quiet, but she had a word. I just can't remember the word. But basically all I'm saying is it was two different people that took it two different ways. So I think that plays a big part, you know. But overall, I think it's just a conversation, y'all chilling, you talking. I don't see nothing wrong with that because y'all on that subject. But just random, no, I don't think you should be going in like that. Me personally, now other dude might do that, but me personally, no,
But
I
see,
don't
that's
think.
where I don't know. I kind of have pushback for that. And the only reason why I say that is because, and that's maybe different for the average man.
Yeah.
I don't know if you fit this in this category, but I know for me, I have more female friends, associates, whatever you want to call them, than I do males. Like I don't have a male that I can call up other than you and just like talk about what I'm going through or how I'm feeling about certain things. I mean, hell, you and I don't even do that. So when I'm with somebody, and because I'm naturally just, able to talk to women, more so than I do men. So I see it as me just talking to her as a friend and not necessarily bitching or or moaning. It's just so happened that because I don't interact with so many people, of course you're going to get most of it because you're the person that I'm talking to the most. So I think that person should be able to balance, okay, well, I know he don't have a lot of male friends or just friends in general. So he talks to me more than he talks to anyone else. So I can respect the fact that he's just talking to me as if I'm his friend or whatever. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think women are built to be able to handle that. I know women gonna say I can, or I don't have an issue with it. Again, just from my experiences, I had that same mindset thinking, okay, I'm just being vulnerable. And that situation didn't work out the way I would hope that it would. So let me ask you this. Do you think that you think men should have an outlet with another male when it comes to anything, just anything in general? You think they should talk to their male friends about stuff and vent and let stuff out and just keep it strictly fun and talking about family goals, couple goals, vacation, finances and stuff like that, and anything else dealing with work or issues in the world at work? You think there should be more or less pushed towards that male's friend opposed to her? But do you think that's something that men should do, or what? How do you see that?
Oh, I hate to use this term. That's guy stuff. Like there's a couple of dudes that work that I'm cool with. We talk at work. We don't call each other and sit be at home like, yo, man, I got. To me again, that's gossiping, I guess. So when we say we male bonded, we just talk about regular stuff
Yeah.
that bothers us. And that is, I guess, because we another guy, so we get on that level where we can understand each other and we can vent towards each other about each other's mate or whatever. So I think at a certain extent, yeah, you should have a guy friend that you can call and be like, "Yo, man, today was a crazy day. Old lady over here is stressing me out," and I think that's more guy talk. But I think you need to have some kind of dialogue with your wife or girlfriend, whatever, to where y'all can be able to talk about anything. Because if you can't be vulnerable with her at some point, to me that would seem kind of missing something in a relationship, because there's going to be more. Okay, just I'm the man, I'm the dominant one, I'm the alpha. So you're just gonna do everything my way. But when it comes to the vulnerability, you gotta deal with that. So to me, that'd be more like you be the man, I be the man, you be the woman kind of perspective. And it's no balance. So to answer your question, yeah, I think most subjects there should be guys talking about it, but some things you should be able to go to your woman and be vulnerable about. But if it's something like I said, like work or some shit, or you just talking about how women are, of course you ain't gonna talk to another, your woman like that. But I think that's where you need the male bonding to be able to decompress and y'all give them that level where you understand each other. But with your woman, some things, yeah, you shouldn't have to go and confront her about. Now maybe I'm saying that because that's how I am. Because again, I have other women tell me that I don't do that enough, and I need to. And it's not a weakness if you're vulnerable. So I don't even look at it as a weakness. I look at it as, well, yeah, I do as a weakness, but then it'd be thrown in the face later. That would be my more
Exactly.
concern. Like if I open up and I tell you something intimate and real uh passionate, that one day you throw that in my face, and I'm like, see, that's why I don't tell you nothing. Because you're gonna use that for ammunition one day when you get mad or you just decide to throw it at in my face. So I'd be more reluctant. That's why, again, I think it depends on what the subject is about. You know, no. Now, if it's guy stuff, keep that with your dude. Like that way, y'all have that male bonding. But with your woman, yeah, some point, not too much, but
Okay, but see, this is where I'm stuck on, because vulnerability, to me, that's like relative to the individual. Because what's vulnerability to you? Because like I said earlier, to me, vulnerability, you come home and you said, look, this is what I'm dealing with, and not being detailed. That's, in my mind, still being vulnerable because you're still expressing some form of emotion. But if you just come home and like, I don't want to talk about it, leave me alone. That's to me shutting the partner out, not being vulnerable. But being vulnerable to me is opening up, letting her in, and letting her know, okay, I have certain things that I deal with at work, but I just don't want to discuss them with you. Because this is something that I told somebody else. I said, this is how I see it. Men, we are protectors. So because we're supposed to be emotionally more stable, or should be more stable than our partner, I'm protecting her from keeping all the outside noise to whatever it is that I'm dealing with. Because if I tell her that, most women, because they're emotional, is going to take on what it is that I'm dealing with. Now she's stressed. Now she's worried about it. So what does that do? That takes her out of her feminine energy, because that puts her in a low vibration. So that's, in a sense, I'm protecting her because I'm keeping her at a high vibration. The only thing she should have to worry about is, supporting the family, supporting help take care of the children, and whatever the case is, how that family function. But she should not have to worry about anything that I'm dealing with, because, like I said, that's going to put her in a low vibration. So that's how I see it, as far as I always do my best to protect the person I'm with from what I'm dealing with, because women are more emotional than we are. Does that make sense? Or
yeah, no, that's like 100 on point right there. I mean, that's a good way to put that. I mean, I agree. You shouldn't come home and just close her out, because I was told, again, I keep bringing this up because I'm keep remembering stuff as we go along, where she told me vulnerability is actually not a weakness, it's more of a strength, because it shows that you can open up and let in things that's bothering you. So I think the vulnerability is just the word, is a taboo word, to where it makes you feel the way we was brought up and programmed, as you like, as I love how you use that term, is we think that that's the negative thing. So whenever, for a guy, that's the way the society put it out there. You vulnerable as a guy, you weak. When reality is really not. You're being vulnerable to let that person know, this is something about me that I'm gonna share with you, to let you know this is what's bothering me. And then that shows the strength, because I've been told also, oh my God, you so tough about everything. You can't be like that about everything. You gotta be able to let go and open up a little bit. So I always used to carry myself like nothing's wrong and act like I can handle and take on the world. So I think that's where the vulnerability needs to be shown with your woman, because it shows that you have that side of you, to where you are human and you do have that moment when you need that your woman to be able to be there for you. So yeah, I don't think you shouldn't shut her out. I mean, it just I guess anybody come home, you should decompress first because that can lead to an argument. So I wouldn't say don't open up. If you had a bad day, you come home. I would say let the person decompress, let the guy decompress, kind of relax, and then be like, "Damn, babe, this is what happened today." Because in that way, it'll be more easy for me or him, whoever the guy may be able to express himself instead of just reacting to what happened that day, instead of acting on what happened and share it with your significant other. So I think that's where I sit with that. I mean, yeah, we need to be vulnerable. You made a good point. You got to be like that with your woman, but I think it all depends on the timing. Timing is everything. Again, I think it's better in a regular conversation. Like the other day, I was with her and we was talking, and we was opening up, and she actually asked me, "So what are what things that bother you, or you feel?" I don't know if she said vulnerable or not, but she asked me that. So I think that was easier for me to open up because it was a conversation. So instead of me just having to come in and just go in on it, it made it easier for me. Now I'm speaking for myself. For me, it's easier to be vulnerable when it's in a conversation and we talking, and then we just have a dialogue. Because I'm working on it. Because when it's a long day and I don't want to be bothered, I do be like, leave me alone. Don't talk to me right now. Let me relax. And then once I decompress, then I'll come back and be like, okay, so this is what happened today. Because to me, you fresh off of whatever happened to you outside, you gonna react. No, not saying everybody, but me personally, I react instead of acting because I'm still, like I said, working on not reacting to the day that just happened instead of acting on it. I think that just comes with, for me, just bringing it down and knowing that, she's not the person that provoked all that, you know what I mean? And it's not her fault. She just actually wanting to know how my day was so that way she can kind of comfort me. So,
Okay, so now check this out. Now, this is just my observation. So I'm looking at Tyrese. He's one. Women blasted him because he be going on social media and stuff that I don't get.
yeah.
He be crying and stuff on social media. People be talking about he's a punk or he's weak. Kanye West, Martin Lawrence had his little stint, back in the day. So my question is, if the women that they had or they was with, if they trusted that they could be vulnerable with them, would they have handled those situations differently? Or the other question can be, is that why they did have those meltdowns? Is because they weren't vulnerable with their partners. So that's what I'm talking about. So just take those instances, all three, if they went home to their partner and they vented like that, do you think that partner would still respect them? Because more so Tyrese, because he was all on, crying and stuff and bawling out and was like, I just want to see my babies. So I don't know. And he did it quite often. So if he did that with his partner all the time, do you really think she would respect him? I don't see that possible. Now, if it was a one-time thing, I get it. But every time something happens, he's always on social media, bawling out and talking about how he feels, which I don't have an issue with it. He's just expressing himself. I just don't think he should do it on social media. But I'm going to keep it in perspective as far as with your partner. So that's what I'm asking. Do you think if you was doing what Tyrese did, the partner you with now or any other partners in the past, do you really believe that they would still respect you if you did that the way he handled those situations?
Yeah, I think, like you said, at some point she might be there for him a couple of times, but when it's all the time, like, look, bro, you need to figure out something because you're doing it way too much, and that's too much even for me to handle now. I'm having to play that role to console you and be the tough one in relationship. So to me, maybe like you said, one or two times, but as often as he's done it, no, I don't think no woman will respect him that long period of time because it's too consistent. It's kind of like who he is, and I think that will become too much for a woman to have to burden that. I mean, a little bit is okay. I think the woman be like, okay, I get it. You a little bit more a sensitive guy. You expressing yourself. I'm here for you. But all the time, every time something happens, yeah. To me, I think she would get annoyed
See,
and
but
would be
that's
like,
picking
okay,
and
that's
choosing.
too much. Huh?
I said, to me, that's picking and choosing, because that's why I was asking, what does vulnerability mean? Because to me, what I take from him, he's a very emotional person and he
Right.
expresses himself. So if he did that with his woman, and regardless if it's every time, but if that's who he is as a person, then why is he being demonized because that's who he is? So that's what
No,
I'm
I mean,
saying.
there's nothing wrong with it if that's who he is. I'm just saying at some point that's overkill for anybody. Now she might get numb to it and just react to it because that's what he does. I think
But
if you've
that's
been with somebody for so many years, you're gonna embrace it, but it won't even be the same. You're not gonna take it the same way because you already know what that person's gonna do. Is like you going through
right.
the motion. So I think for him, yeah, if it's at home, she probably already know how to handle that. But like you said, on the social media aspect, yeah, you're gonna get ridiculed for that. But at home, she might be like, "Come here, baby. You have your moment," and they already have a routine because that's like you said, that's just who he is. So she probably won't even get burned out on it. But if it's something new, like if let's say for example, if it's a new relationship and she's just not used to it, I think it would be challenging for her. That she might embrace it and handle it. But if she sees a pattern, it's going to be like, wow, this is just a little bit much. So I think that scenario has to be kind of looked at as depending on the longevity of who you with. Like if you just get into a relationship and then that woman is like that, she can embrace it. But what if she's not? She's just used to not dealing with that. So I think that plays a part too. Like his wife, I mean, with him, I don't even think he's married, is he? Or he just he's a girlfriend. Because I
No, I
know he
think
broke up with his baby mama and that's when all that stuff happened, but I don't even know if he's in a relationship or not. A serious one. You know what I mean? So maybe that's why he go on social media, because he don't have a woman that he can, vent to on that level. Friends maybe, but not a significant other. But I mean,
okay, I'm gonna give you a
you have to be
perfect.
vulnerable. I'm learning, like I said, I'm learning that I'm
Okay,
opening up to that. So I think you have to be for your relationship to go where you want it to go. Again, it don't have to be all the time, but you should be able to have moments where you can be vulnerable with your.
but see,
Yeah.
I gotta disagree, because to me, you shouldn't have stipulations on when you're vulnerable. That's not what that is. If you tell somebody, be vulnerable with me, that means all the time,
Right.
24/7. Not, you can't, to me, you can't put stipulations. Okay, I only want vulnerability dealing with this. If you got other things you're dealing with, I don't want it. Only with this area right here. That's not truly being vulnerable. But this is how I perceive it. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember Boys in the Hood. That
Yeah.
scene stuck with me for some reason. And I think it was Cuba Gooding's character. And that's when Ricky got shot and he came home and he opened the door. She's like, baby, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And he did bad acting on that. He just looked and he started swinging,
Yeah.
swinging and stuff. And then
Right.
he just burst into tears and they went upstairs and had sex.
Mm-hmm.
That's still being vulnerable, because he could have easily came home,
Mm-hmm.
just went straight upstairs, leave me alone.
Right.
Took a shower, whatever, and went to bed.
Right.
But he still was open enough to let her see him at
Mm-hmm.
his lowest point. He was broken.
Right.
He was in tears. He
Mm-hmm.
was like he was a little kid in his mom's arms, just crying.
Right.
So to me, that's vulnerability. It's not
Mm-hmm.
always just talking or expressing,
Right.
with words. Sometimes just coming back or coming home and you just look at it and just burst in tears. I just
Right.
personally don't feel as though every woman will be able to deal with that. And if you're in a stressful job
Yeah.
or a stressful situation, I'm not going to say every day, let's say like maybe 6 months or whatever, and he just gets to his breaking point or whatever, and he just come home and just be vulnerable, whether it's verbally or emotionally. I just don't feel as though that I'm able to do that. As much as a woman would say you can do it, I just don't see that being the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, the pick and choosing the vulnerability, I get that to a point, but it's funny because when I come home, when I was with old girl or my ex, whatever, when I was with who I was with, she would always ask me, "So how was your day?" And every day was something different. So, but with that job, every day was a stressful day. So that's when I'm like, okay, every day I come home and I vent and I go through that spill. To me, it gets numb because she's like, okay, he probably had a bad day. So he gonna come open up and do all that. So that's what I mean when I was saying earlier about at some point it gets redundant. It's like, okay, he's gonna do his little spill. So I don't even think it'd be looked at as him open up being vulnerable. It's just him or me being going through his day of his BS. So that's why I was saying pick and choose the vulnerability, because I think the moment dictates how your vulnerability is. Like if you had a long day or somebody just pissed you off and then you come home and then something triggers it and then she's like, what's wrong? And then you go into it kind of like the boys in the hood scenario where you just release it because you just burned out from a long day. And she looked at it as, wow, he really had a bad day. And she embraced something and be like, wow, that took a lot for him to do that, because most men would try to be tough and act like nothing's wrong. Like you said, just go up in the room or whatever. So that would show a weakness, but a strength that, I'm strong enough to trust you to let you see me in this vulnerable state. But again, it depends on the individual, because the next woman might be like, dude, come on, handle that shit. I know you said, I don't mean that way. She may not be rude like that, but she might be like, okay, let's handle it. Make sure the next time. And then at some point, it's like, okay, you can't keep coming like this all the time. What are you going to do to change this narrative? So I think that would be a conversation at some point where, being a supporting cast, she might try to encourage him to get him from being like that all the time. I don't think you should be like that all the time. Sometimes, yeah, depending on whatever happened that day. But me coming home every day, expressing myself, to me, if I was a woman, I'd be burned out on it at some point. And I mean, that's a support. I mean, you support your significant other, but again, sometimes you gotta do that tough love and be like, yo, I love you, but we need to work on something, figure out how you don't have to be like this all the time. I think that would be showing support. I don't think it would be pushback or judging his character as a man. It's just saying, look, let's work on this and see what we can do so you don't have to be like that. I think that would be a good thing, because to me, you can't be like that forever. Now, if you like that, you like that, but me, like I said, I'm working on it because I was that tough guy. I never wanted to show no weakness, but now I'm understanding that you have to. Now, I know you said you can't pick and choose, but I do pick and choose when I want to be vulnerable, because I don't want it to come across as everything is bothering me and I can't handle nothing myself. So I be a little bit more mindful of what I express myself with, to be
See, but
vulnerable, unless it's just a reaction from a crazy ass thing.
I don't know, but to me, then you're still not giving her the true you, because you're being vulnerable in situations you want to be vulnerable. And that still, to me, leaves her in flux, because it's like, okay, he's opening up to me in this area, but I know there's something else that's going on. So I think that can still cause a disconnect, because that person knows, like, okay, I know he's not being 100% vulnerable in every aspect. I want all of you, not part of you. So I went on Google and did a definition search for vulnerability. They got all kind of crazy definitions. So I chose the one that makes more sense to me. So it says vulnerability fosters good emotional and mental health. Vulnerability also is a sign of courage. We become more resilient and brave when we embrace who we truly are and what we are feeling. lastly, being vulnerable can help us foster better connections and relationships with others. So that goes back to like what I was saying, as far as you can't pick and choose when you want to be vulnerable with certain things. It's like either you are 100% or you're not, because then it's still going to be a disconnect. Because like I said, if you with that person long enough, they're going to be able to pick up on certain things that you're being transparent about, and certain things you're not. So she was like, well, Mark, why aren't you, telling me what's going on in this situation? Well, you know what? I don't want to talk about that. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's either all or none. It's all or
Yeah,
nothing.
I mean, that's true, but you got to think about this. Sometimes women pick and choose the vulnerability for you. Like if you opening up about something and they looking at you like, really, why are you complaining about that? You need to get over it. And to you, you're expressing yourself. That's vulnerability because you have shown a side of you on something that bothers you. But they take it in a sense to why you bringing this up or why you complaining about this, whatever vocabulary they choose to use. Because I literally had that happen to me a few times where I was a vulnerable moment, but to her, it was unnecessary. It was, why are you complaining about that? So I think that go both sides. The woman got to play a role too, because some women will take one thing and say, this is what you need to be vulnerable about. And then this is not important. That's not relevant enough for me to have to deal with that and take it as a vulnerability for you. Why can't you deal with that? So I'm serious. I had women tell me that. And I'm not saying women across the board is like that, but there is some that they will pick and choose for themselves what they want to hear you
I agree.
open up about. So I think they have to take their role too and understand that, certain things that some guys be real sensitive about and vulnerable and they speak about it and then they take it as, really, you why are you telling me about that? Like me, perfect example. It may not sound like it's vulnerability, but if I'm expressing saying I would like for you to like a word of affirmation, text me or just say I love you in the morning or something. That's showing vulnerability to say that, hey, I want you to show affection by saying that to me every morning. Oh my God, why you gotta hear that every morning? You know I love you. That's vulnerability because I'm showing you something that's passionate to me that will be something that's significant. Words of affirmation or love language, whatever you want to call it. So that's my point. Some women, not all women, because a lot of women probably wouldn't say that, but I have had one literally tell me that. So that's why I'm using an example where to me that's being vulnerable. You're letting her know, hey, I would love to hear you say good morning, have a great day, I love you, whatever. Oh my God, you don't need to hear that, you know what I mean? So if I'm being vulnerable, but sometimes the women deem it as something not that serious. So I think it go both ways, all I'm saying. I'm not saying that's what across the board women's like that, but it happens sometimes where women would be pick and choosing what they feel is vulnerable enough.
Right. So you proving my point. That's my whole point behind that. Why I said I don't feel as though that it's possible to be vulnerable 100%. I know it sounds like I'm going back to what you were saying, but
yeah.
I just don't think it's possible. When you meet the person and as you growing, into the relationship, you should be able to pick up on it. But I just think the way most people are programmed, men and women, I just don't see it possible. I see more things happening like with, those actors and entertainers I spoke about, because they don't feel as though that they're able to talk to their partner about certain things. Right. And I hate to say this, but especially in the Black community, I think it's worse with us than anybody else, because of the stuff that we deal with. Women deal with things in the world, Black men deal with things, and it's like we're coming and fighting against each other because we both deal with stuff, but then we're programmed, she's programmed, and we're fighting against that on top of everything else. So I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things for me over time, as I grow and continue to ascend, and I'll come down from that. But right now, it's like just certain things from experiences, like, see, that's why I don't do it. So
Right.
that's where I'm at with that.
Mhm. No, that's good. I get you. I get what you're saying on that aspect. But yeah, to me, yeah, that's something. Is it going to ever be 100% where guys be vulnerable like that? No, because like you said, we program. And I think even today's society, guys, actually, let me rephrase that. Guys are probably more sensitive nowadays than they was back when we was growing up. So I think
Oh yeah,
it's transitioning different. So perfect example, I think the women are taking on more of the tough roles
yeah.
and not being vulnerable, and the guys are ones that's being more vulnerable. To be honest,
Which
now that I'm thinking about it, you know, so it's crazy. Like dudes are being too sensitive. That's what I'm saying when I was like, I pick and choose because some women, I know it sounds like I'm attacking women now, but I'm not. I'm just using that example where they had to play the role where I had them tell me, well, I have to be the man and the woman, so I have to be the alpha, because I'm not used to God being there. So they take on the masculinity, so they more assertive, more tough. I have this lady at work. I ain't gonna say her name. I told her, I was like, yo, bro. She said, why you keep calling me bro? I said, because you walk in masculine energy. You are so much of a guy. Like this dude was complaining about something. She said, why don't you suck it up and stop whining? Just go do your job. Like, what the hell are you crying about? And I was like, damn, D, why are you coming so hard on him like that? She said, because he's whining like a little girl. He need to go do his thing or whatever he was supposed to do. And she's like that 24/7. And I was like, are you military, ex-military? I know you're going to say something about that. And I was just teasing her because she's real aggressive. And she's like, I'm a military mom or something, she said. She said, my son's in the military. But I told her drill sergeant, what I call her, because she's very assertive. But my point is, she told the dude he was whining too much because he kept coming to one of the leads, and she's like, "Stop whining all the time about everything. Just figure it out. Just do it." So that's what I'm saying. There's some women nowadays where they don't want that dude coming to her and being vulnerable. Now, if she walking in femininity, yes. But I'm saying the ones that kind of balance in both man and woman role, they won't do it as much as you think they would or should. But some women take that nowadays as, come on, dude, I'm more man than you are. So that's what I mean. It's just like it's different. It's a little bit different nowadays, just because where we at.
that's exactly my point. That's why I'm saying, like, it's getting harder now.
Yeah.
To whereas you better not be vulnerable. You better find the most feminine woman you can find on the face of the earth, because if not, it's just not going to happen. Because like you said, that a lot of women, especially here in Atlanta, they have their own business. So they, in charge of stuff. So they in that masculine energy, single mom, what have you. So a lot of them don't know how to disconnect. So I don't see it. I really don't. And of course, this don't apply to everybody.
Right.
But I'm just saying in general, for me, my vulnerability is going to be, like I said earlier, as far as I'll give you, so to speak, a cover as far as what's going on, but I'm not going to go in detail. Because I just, and I think some of it is innately from women. They just see men as the provider and protector and strength. So I just think if I'm vulnerable too much, I just see them like, okay, I don't know about that. You're doing a little bit too much. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because if it's innately, that's what it is. But so that's all I got on that.
Yeah, I mean, we go back and forth on, but we both agree on the same, like I said, on a parallel, we on the same page. But for me, closing, and I'm gonna stick to this. I know you said you shouldn't be like that, but I'm gonna be more selective on what I'm vulnerable on, because I think it depends on who my mate is. Mate, I hate saying mate, who my partner is. Because I truly believe I've dated women that you can't come at her like that. Like you were saying, they look at you in that light. So you could be vulnerable, but again, to me, it got to be like, okay, if I come in like this, and I already know she's more assertive or as assertive as me, and I'm opening up too much, she's gonna get pushback on that. So for me, you got to be vulnerable again at some point with your lady. Just to me, I just don't feel like it got to be 24/7. But men, we do need to be vulnerable at some point with our women so they can see that other side and they can think that'll help the relationship grow. And you read the definitions off, so pretty much that's in a nutshell. Like, vulnerability sometimes is a strength, it's not always a weakness. So, but on that note, that was a good topic. I hope more people start chiming in. That was a good comment the one lady wrote. But yeah, so that's all I got on that.
All right, so I'm just going to read this one comment by KJ, and then we'll close it out. But she said she thinks each woman handles an expressive man in their own way, which I agree. And
Yeah.
Tyrese's woman may be okay with him acting that way. He expresses himself. So that's true. I mean, it depends on that person. But I'm just saying, innately, I just don't believe that a woman is going to always be accepting of true vulnerability. So I think that's the big thing. Maybe they haven't actually experienced true vulnerability from a man, so they just got portions, or however you do, you sample size.
Yeah.
So that could explain the reason why it's accepting for some. But I'm not going to make any excuses for anybody or make up anybody else's mind or opinion. But that's it is what it is. So we thank everyone for watching. Like, subscribe. Your feedback is welcome. We can still see the comments if you go ahead and put them in. And everybody enjoy the rest of your day. This will be posted on Wednesday. As always, your belief becomes your thoughts becomes your belief, and your belief becomes your manifestation. All right, y'all be good. Peace.
All right, we out.